Haha, that looks really cute.
Oh, I love it!
You're listening to the Mike Cassidy Photography Podcast. It's your real-world photography business masterclass with no BS and no magic shortcuts. Here's your host, Mike Cassidy.
And boom goes the dynamite. Yeah. It's summer. Can't believe it's like July. I don't know what happened to this year. Now it's suddenly July. Welcome. Just like before I started, staring at my dome in the monitor, trying to see if I'm like sunburned. Can't tell. Being outside all the time, walking around doing my miles in the woods. Face doesn't look burned. But maybe I should wear a hat. Yeah, I need to do that. Not much up there to protect, but welcome to the show. So this week, out already at the grocery store. I have like not one plan for 4th of July, but buying hot dogs, sausages, peppers, buying hamburgers. Just gonna have a week-long celebration, I think. A week-long barbecue fest. Kind of snuck up on me. But how are you doing? You okay? You sure? Well, welcome to the show. Just wide and awake. I'm your apple kombucha sipping host, Michael. Welcome back. Or if you're here for the first time, welcome. Today, I'm going to do a show a little bit about mistakes people make when starting their boudoir photography business. Namely, 3 mistakes. There are many mistakes. These are just 3 that I sort of thought about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this today. Remember, these are just my opinions, my experience, that I see people doing that may not be the best things to do when you are thinking of starting your boudoir business, or it could be any business and photography business in general, but some of these are more specific to things that people do when they're starting their boudoir photography business. So get into that a little bit today. I don't know how long this show is going to be, but I would say go get your cool, refreshing apple kombucha. Let me take a sip. It's bubbly and refreshing. Just what you need on a 87-degree day when it's only like 11 o'clock. So we'll talk for a while. Talk about a few of these things. See what comes of this. See how many people I can annoy or make angry. The thing is, I'm right. The one thing about boudoir photography is it's a weird business. It's very weird. And people do weird things when they, as I tell you for one moment, do weird things as they start their business, which are not necessary, but yet they still do them. And I don't know. So we're going to get into that a bit. Excuse me as I'm distracting myself. And hopefully you can get some value for this. Remember, again, it's just one person's opinion, and what the heck do I know? But people do some puzzling things when they go in and start their businesses. So we're going to chat a little bit about that, get into that, and also, I guess, some other related news. It looks like I'm going to be on, or at least recording, an episode of the Photo Biz X podcast with Andrew sometime at the end of July. Don't know yet. No, I don't know how far he's going to be backed up. You know, sometimes people record and they could have many episodes and they can already before they put that. So that looks like that's coming up at the end of July. That'll be fun. We'll be talking about starting boudoir business in 2024, which is not easy. Who knows? Get on that show and go crazy. Only you never know what's going to happen. So that's coming up. Use it with my beach stuff during the summer. Just getting into the heavy inundation of that now. You know, people come in and I don't work on July 4th or usually the day before because it's just way too busy. It's not a great time, so I don't work on like summer holiday like the 4th of July because it's just not too much traffic, too many people, too much going on. So people always are after me for that day. So I had a couple of groups wanting that day, and I'm like, I don't do it. Someone wanted, what's today, Tuesday? It's Tuesday, right? Someone wanted today, and then they vanished. Beach people are very, we want it, and then they vanish. So I thought I was going to be going out tonight, but not. So it looks like I may have a couple days off this week, which is okay. And then so here we are. So we're going to get into this a little bit. And one of the things, or actually we'll start out with number one here. We update some news, so ungracefully transition into that, is the issue that I find, and sometimes people are like brave enough to approach me, email me, asking about starting a boudoir photography business, and I'll get an email. I haven't got one in a while. Got one maybe earlier this year, but used to get a bit more of those things through Instagram or mostly through my website, I guess. And, you know, very nice. They'll reach out, hey, I want to get involved in boudoir, I'm sick of my corporate job or whatever the case may be. And you can help, some advice. You know, usually my first question is, how are your camera skills? Show me some of your work. And after, sometimes people write these long emails about, I'm ready to get started. I'm a business. I'm start my business. And they're like, well, don't really have a camera or any experience, but, you know, you want to start a business, photography business, and you have no experience with photography whatsoever. No, you know, just kind of figure it out as I go along, which shockingly is so common to hear from people. And it's just sort of very kind of a strange thing. And it's not the perfect kind of example, but what I would say to somebody usually in this conversation is, oh, I see. So basically you want to open your restaurant and cook and you have no experience in how to cook. How do you think that's going to go, knowing how difficult it is to run a restaurant business? Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to figure it out as I go along. Really? Or waking up in the morning and telling your friends you're a pro golfer and you've never, you know, played golf in your life? Yeah, but I'm going to get really good camera. I'm just going to buy a camera, and that's, you know, camera does all the work. Right. So if I bought the most expensive golf clubs in the sports store, it means I'm going to play like Tiger Woods. So it's the golf clubs. You know, so there is this, and I guess people don't know what they don't know. But there is this misconception that somehow, you know, that the camera does all the work in photography, and, you know, you could give it to a monkey or something like that, and it's all gonna, and what's, I guess people don't realize till they get into that is how that's not the case. And, you know, I was not a believer that you need to put in like 10 years of work to figure something out, but starting a photography business and not knowing how to take a picture is a little bizarre, don't you think, in any regard? You know, whether you're doing babies or weddings or, you know, waking up some morning and suddenly deciding that was your future and not knowing anything about it is kind of weird. But in the United States, why wouldn't it surprise me? Well, I should take a course, there's no course that's going to teach you how to, it's only something you can learn by doing it over and over and over. It takes a lot of practice figuring stuff out, especially if you're working with women, because that ain't easy. If you like going out and taking pictures of trees, there's trees everywhere. They don't care. You could stand out all day long, but just finding random women, especially women's for no clothes on, and this is just not happening, and that takes a lot of work. So, I think that even, and the one thing that people really don't have a big understanding of as well too is photography is one of those businesses that has a super, super low barrier to entry, but an incredibly high barrier to success. And getting involved, especially when everyone's a photographer, everybody now walking around with their iPhone, Android phone, everybody's a photographer now. So why in the world, you completely unskilled, and now why are someone's going to choose you? So that was always a very strange kind of a thing to me, especially hearing that. Now, I said this like over and over and over again. I mean, this is hyperbole, but especially in women's photography, the route to someone coming into women's photography usually goes along the lines of, there's Janie, she was in her MLM, driving everybody crazy on her Instagram, trying to show them business opportunities all day long, so they all blocked her and unfollowed her because they couldn't take it any longer. Boss babe, climbing the MLM ladder, girl power. That didn't work out. So Jamie's at Chick-fil-A one day having lunch with her friend Ashley. Janie takes a picture of her chicken sandwich, posts it on her Instagram, but no one's going to see it now because everyone unfollowed her because they drove her nuts about the MLM. And then Ashley's like, Jamie, that's a really good picture. You should be a photographer. And Janie's like, you think? I've always wanted to do that. And so, Janie maxes out her credit cards, buys the most expensive camera she can find, has her 5-year-old or 8-year-old cousin put together a website, and 3 days later, she's calling herself a pro photographer. That's the typical path to somebody coming into women's photography, which is just so bizarre. And I think that, in this business, regardless of what your path is, and you've got to just start, I think, more with this joy or, interest in photography just as a hobby or as an art form. And that's how you become good, whatever your interest may be, whether it's animals or you go out and you just are like any other kind of hobby, like people get interested in basketball or whatever it is, you develop this interest in being good at this or developing you get a personal joy from that, going out and just walking along the beach and taking pictures of God knows what's up there, coming home, and then, learning how that creative process, learning how to operate a camera and learning how to go through that whole editing process, which takes a while. Because when you're starting, you ain't good. It's not good. It's bad. And then, this is like a huge consequence of doing that. Well, first of all, you're not going to get customers coming in, but people will just lack this self-awareness. And I'm trying to sound like any type of a genius because that's hardly the case at my point, but what people produce is just bad. I mean, that 2-week pro Janie Boudoir session is bad. Now, she goes and talks her friends into coming and and doing a couple pictures. They're like, oh my God, Janie, do I really have to do this? Yes, I need this because now I'm a pro. You have to post for me because help me start my business. Oh my God, I do not want pictures in my underwear on the internet, Jamie. It's so embarrassing. No, you got to do this for me. So, she talks some of her friends into doing, and then of course she does the obligatory posting of she slayed this, posting these really bad photos on social media, and it ain't helping. As much as you think that those words are, it's not helping. So producing low quality work is not good. And it's not a good start to your beginning in a business. Again, think of it in a restaurant. You don't know how to make bouillabaisse, and you advertise yourself as a bouillabaisse restaurant. People are coming in, and what is the first thing they go? They're going on Yelp. That wasn't good. And but that's exactly what people do in photography. They just really do not have a lot or any technical ability and start calling themselves pros. Ultimately 99% of those people, and I know women go through their photography phase and they have this thing for a while, but 99.9% of those people are gone just because of this lack of self-awareness or this basic lack of skills when getting started. People don't want to put in the time, and they like the idea of a business more than they do of the core of that business is, especially in women's photography, about this joy of making people look pretty and beautiful. And it's not easy, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And some people get it and some people don't. But, way before the business part comes, it's a hobby. It's something you have to learn. It's something you enjoy. And then at some point, kind of organically, if it happens, that turns into a pro career. Just like people who learn to play the guitar, it doesn't mean everyone's going to be a pro guitarist. A lot of them, it's just a hobby. They may not have the interest to do that, but no one wakes up and knowing nothing about guitar and tells their friends now they're a pro guitarist. Like, what are you talking about, Bob? You don't even know how to play the guitar. Yeah, but I made a website and call myself pro guitar player. What do you think? Like, bands are going to come and offer you money just because you have pro guitar player up, and they're going to figure out you don't know how to play. And go play pro. But that's exactly what people do when starting a boudoir photography business. They just have no clue and get out there. And another real consequence of that is if you do get a person or people coming in, is just this client satisfaction. These people are not going to have great experiences because you don't know what you're doing. And, this rolls into mistake number 2, which we're going to get to in a moment. And see, mistake number 2 is often deemed super important, and it's usually used as a mask for mistake number 1 as not having any skills. But I'll get into mistake number 2 in a moment. But your clients are not going to be happy. And they may not say it to your face because some people are just like that. They're going to say, oh, that was so nice. And they're like, and trust me, because I've heard it over the years. I've been out talking, or especially, I don't know why this happens a lot. I used to go to bridal shows, do bridal shows more. I don't do that anymore, but people will come up to your table and just unload on you, telling you like their stories, horror stories of their experiences with photographers and things that happened, and just like, oof-ah. So it doesn't lead necessarily to good things by just having no skill and saying now you're a pro or starting a business, because it's not the camera. I mean, there's a lot to learn. And think of how that would, transfer to any other business. You know nothing about it. I know nothing about window glass. When I'm opening up a window glass, now I'm a pro window glass installer. I don't know how to put glass in a shower. Yeah, but you're calling yourself a pro. You think people are going to hire? You're going to go out and not know how to do it? I think that's going to wind up in a good. But this is what you choose to do with photography. Very strange. And again, you don't need to put in 9 years. And everybody starts somewhere. See, and I understand that. And I get it. But the general mentality is, I'm not taking time to learn. I'm not doing this. There's got to be a short. It's the American way. There's got to be a shortcut. I'm not going to get in shape. Just give me a pill. Buy a course. There's got to be a shortcut. But learning something like photography skills, there is no shortcut. Some people may do it in a year. Some people may grab it quicker, 6 months. It could take somebody 3 years, depending on the time that you're doing it, to really. And then you need that self-awareness to look at yourself and say, yeah, I can get it. I can see where that looks good. I've shown my friends and they've responded positively. Yeah. And then what will happen, though, and this is what people don't get. If you are just doing this as a hobby, again, no matter what you're taking photos of, especially if you're posting things on social media, you'll know because you'll start to get this positive response. And I'm not talking about your friend who's like, oh my God, that's so wonderful. I'm just talking about from people that you don't know. You'll start to get this response. You will organically start to get this, hey, I saw your picture. You think you may be able to do something like that for me? That's like the indicator that you are onto something. When you are just starting, don't worry about a business. Don't worry about starting a business. Just worry about taking something that doesn't look like a human disaster. And you'll know. So big mistake. People starting with no skills. Now, how can you fix that? Well, some people are self-taught and self-learners. That's fine. As far as, there is a bazillion videos on YouTube for people teaching you how to operate cameras, but kind of like riding a bike. You can't learn to ride a bike watching a video. You got to get and do it. Photography is very similar. You may get some concepts, but until you're there and doing that yourself and seeing what you get, so practice. And then in the areas, a lot of like county colleges and stuff like that have courses. You can go pay and have someone teach you how to do it locally, in person. You could be with a real person and they will give you feedback. And, that's very helpful and that could save a lot of time. And I think that if you're really interested, these are things you go, yeah, that makes sense. I should take guitar lessons maybe if I want to learn how to play the guitar. I can see the value in that. So don't worry about starting a business. Just worry about learning how to take photography, how to take a good picture. And in women's, it's tough because, like I said, start with everything else. Just learn the basics, and that will, in a way, transform into, you could take those skills and put them into photographing a woman. Because, I have naked women laying around, so you got to do something, but the techniques are all the same. So you have to learn to be competent at that first. And then mistake number 2, which makes me one of the most hated people on the internet. But this is an unpopular opinion. And what I would say, if you're thinking about starting a women's photography business and you really want a good chance of standing out and like having people look at you and go, yeah, this is something I may be interested in, then you will do this, which is, I don't understand where the genesis of this was, but it is like a swamp that has just taken over women's photography over the past 10 years or so. And that is going way, way, way overboard on this fixer mentality. Where or how did it start that, like, your job as a woman's photographer is to heal the world? That's very bizarre. Don't know where that came from. And it seems like in that guru checkbook of how to start a woman's photography business, right up next to having no actual photography skills is start telling you're going to heal the world. I'm going to fix you. I'm going to heal everybody. Well, let me be the first to tell you that you and your lack of skills are not healing or fixing anybody. But this is like the MO for everybody who starts in women's photography. Like I said, taking really bad pictures and then writing a "Jeeves so empowered her so much." You didn't empower anybody with your bad photos. It is not an obligation in 2024. If you start a women's photography business, you have to plaster all of your copy material that you are fixing people. Now, I'm going to get a bit granular about this in a moment. There are always exceptions to this, like I said, and I've been doing this a million years. I understand that it's a fun experience for women. They have a great time doing this. There is a lot of value in giving somebody that joy or making somebody feel good about themselves. It's not what I'm talking about. What we're talking about is people putting you see websites where all of this whole website is about fixing and healing, and it just goes way too far. And I used to talk about this with people and called like it broken woman marketing. And why are you doing this? And I think a lot of people do this just because they look across the universe at everybody else who doesn't know what they're doing in this business, and they have it on their website. So they figure, I better do this too. Why? You just want to do what every other person is doing, wrongfully so. I mean, it makes no sense. And this is where, if you really want to stand out as a woman's photographer now, don't put that on your website anywhere. And you're like, Mike, where did that come from? I don't know. Somewhere along the way, and I don't know, when you started seeing this literally like 10 years ago or so or more, and it has just got to this peak. I think it has backed down a little bit, but there was this idea that if you were to become a woman's photographer, a boudoir photographer, you're also required to be a mental health professional as part of this job. And you're not. And I would often joke that if aliens came to this planet and then were to judge the state of women, like especially in the United States, by looking at boudoir photographers' website, you'd think that America was really in rough shape, that women were in rough shape, and then this country was like in a shambles. Have you ever read some of the copy on women's or boudoir photography websites? And it's not everybody, but just blindly showing some websites to people like, oof, ah. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give you some free information here. Talking about, in general, if you get rolling as a boudoir photographer, you know why people are coming to see you? This is shocking, groundbreaking information. They're coming to you for a wedding gift. They're coming to you for an anniversary gift. They're coming to you for a Christmas gift. They're coming to you for a fun gift to give to somebody else. That's why they're coming in. There is this notion or this kind of like message, like all women are broken, all women are damaged. And I forget where I was looking at I forget what I was trying to find, some photographer somewhere. And I remember even reading the meta text on one website, and it was just like talking about trauma. Oh, the women that we're healing your trauma, and we're healing. I'm like, what world are these people like living in? It is just so bizarre that so many people do this. And Boudoir is a fun experience. It is a fun gift. Women have a great time. I get it. Now, especially if you are new, if you are starting out in this business, again, you pick up a camera, you know nothing, and hey, we're going to take your picture. You're not healing anybody. You're not fixing anybody with their shitty photography. And then, people feel the need to jump on this bandwagon of writing all of, now, see, this is where it's fun. Women have a great time. But in general, just make it about fun. You really want to have a good time growing or grow your, talk about the fun that it is. Want to stand out from the 800 new people who are going to try starting boudoir photography business this year? Don't do it. Try something different. Now, here's the thing that just was always like funny to me about this. And of course, this is where you get the, I'm changing lives. I'm changing. You don't know. And I'll address that in a moment. But can you imagine if other businesses ran like that? Could you imagine, like, if you were taking your child to get, like, photos to a child photographer, and you walk in with little Johnny to the child photography studio, and, like, you go in there, and the photographer was like, oh, hey, little Johnny. Thank you for coming in today, and I know how tough it is to be a child. It's so unfair in 2020. The pressure is unimaginable as a child, and we know on the inside you're damaged, you're confused. You really don't know what's going on in the world. And here at Child Photography Studios, we're here to heal you. We're here to empower you as a young child, to heal your trauma. Can you imagine, like, if that's, like, would anybody, like, if you were a parent and brought your and someone started doing that to your child, would you not grab that kid and yank him out of that, like, studio as fast as possible? Or imagine this. Imagine, we're talking about our buddy Janie and our Ashley earlier, an example. Imagine they decide to go out for lunch and they're going to get a salad. They walk into, like, Sweet Green or somewhere, waiting to get their salad, get up to the counter, put your order in, go and sit at the table, and someone comes over and sits down with you, and you're like, can I help you? And they're like, well, I'm your salad counselor. You're like, what? We're here to help you with the healing process through our salad therapy. And you're like, what are you talking about? I just want to eat my lunch. This isn't just a lunch, because we understand you're wounded. It's not easy being an adult. And my job as a salad counselor is to heal you and to make you whole as a woman with your salad through the positive vibes of green chlorophyll intake in your crunchy chicken Asian salad. You'd be like, what the hell? Could you imagine if, like, you went to a restaurant and went through a process like that and someone sat down and tried to do something like that to you? But yet, this somehow has all turned into normal behavior. It has been normalized in, like, women's photography. People have, like, kind of this idea that they've turned into psychotherapists. And again, I'm going to get to my caveats in a moment. But, don't do that. Don't do that. Just think in terms of other businesses. Like if you've ever walked into a restaurant and somebody, how bizarre that would be. I just want a salad, bro. I'm hungry. I just was out all morning. I haven't eaten. I just want to sit down. I'm here to enjoy my salad. I don't need mental help. Yes, but that's part of our healing process. You don't understand. Salads are about fixing people. Don't worry about this fixing message. And if you're going to put anything, just use it very sparingly. Despite what you see, despite what your fake photography gurus tell you, you don't need that. It is no necesito. Now, talking about my caveats. I get it. I understand that through the photography experience with women, it can have an impact on people. And I understand, and I know like some photographers who want to be in a sort of a specialty where people who don't feel great about themselves, and they will sit there and talk to them and guide them through this, and they'll give them this reinforcement and see, I'm not talking about, one-off instances like that. People who specialize in working with people who, I've seen photographers who do that, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in general, the 99% of people who are just doing boudoir for gifts. You don't need to go into that whole mental therapy, spiritual Sherpa type thing. It's not necessary. Woman coming in for an anniversary gift isn't looking for mental help. She wants to have fun. She wants a cute gift for her husband. Yeah, it's fun along the way. Don't get me wrong. It's not every day that someone comes rolling around with no clothes on and she's going to have a good time and she's going to walk out thinking that was a lot of fun. And then she's moving on with her life. So don't, it's a photo session and it's fun. Yes, and it can have those pictures she's going to look back on and go, that was a good time. I love the way I look. It was great. But she's still getting up every day, driving to work, dealing with her crappy customers at work and doing whatever she's doing, getting back. She's got 3 kids. She's got to cook dinner, got crying kids, got this going on. It's life goes on after that photo session. You want people to have a good experience. It's not what I'm talking about. You just have to ease up on the mental health, ease up on the spiritual Sherpa, ease up on the broken woman marketing. Is entirely not necessary. She just wants an anniversary gift. She's always thought about doing this. She wants to do something for her boyfriend for fun. She's not broken. This idea of looking out over America and assuming that all women are broken is very strange. I highly recommend not doing that. And I've heard about this too. There are consequences to this. I have had women come in to work with me and talk about the negative impressions they had from other photographers doing this in the middle of sessions. I recall someone brought it up to me when they were talking to me, but in a session, and this is the God's on, I can't even tell you how many times this has happened, that they've come in talking about, oh, you were not really going to be the first person. I found somebody I like to come in, but got on the phone with this woman and immediately she started talking some weird, crazy stuff. What do you mean? Well, not that it was fun, but she was making me uncomfortable because she was talking about healing me, or she was going to make me whole. And true stories. I've heard it over and over again. It's very backwards. Very, very backwards. And it turns some people off. And one thing for photographers listening to this and who do this, If your website is nothing but copy about trauma, broken, this, who do you think you're going to attract? Now, if that is the kind of clientele that you really want to work with and really want to attract, and God bless these people who go through this process and want to get into an emotional, relationship with it and guide these, but then God bless you. But if your website is filled with nothing but trauma, life's unfair, everything is unfair, who do you think you're going to attract with that kind of, you're going to attract people who are broken, not feel, So if that's not really what you want to, and then you're not going to attract anybody who's not feeling that way. Which is like most women do not feel broken. I hate to break it to you, So you have to, and again, if you're in a little area, got like 20 photographers and they're all broken, damaged, broken woman marketing stuff. Maybe if you have some positive, uplifting messages on someone is like, yeah, I like that vibe. I'm going to check her out. I'm not really, I'm okay. I'm not damaged. All these other photographers, they seem like they only work with damaged, broken women. I'm doing all right. I got a little headache because the kids are driving me nuts, but I'm all right. I'm good. When you are new, emphasize celebration, positivity, your client's natural beauty, promote confidence, self-acceptance, positivity, happiness, joy. Again, imagine if restaurants marketed themselves. Welcome to McDonald's. Everything's unfair. We know your life is unfair. Everything is unfair. It's such trauma being a person. But you'd be like, what the heck is the downer with these people? But that's boudoir for you. That's what they feel they need to do. I don't know who these people are who made this decision. And, keep it light, keep it positive, keep it upbeat. And shockingly, and if you're watching this on video, you can see my shocking face here. Shockingly, that's fine. Not everybody in the universe is like teetering on the edge, on that precipice of collapse, as just, women's photography would not have you believe. So worry about making great photos. Don't go overboard on fixing people. Big mistake. Not necesito. 2 things. And we're going to move on to our third thing. As soon as I just sip my delicious apple beverage. Now you got me all worked up. Now you got me feeling stressed. Now I'm going to need a boudoir photographer to put me back together again. Jeez. So what was the other thing that I had on my list? And you see it often, and that's really over-positioning themselves in the market. What do you mean, Mike? Well, often, again, and I don't know where this comes from. It comes from their fake boudoir guru or whoever tells them they need to do this. A lot of new photographers try to position themselves as luxury photographers without any luxury experience, without any luxury quality of work, without any luxury branding, without any luxury brand alignment. And I hate over talking about branding and stuff like that because it's so overdone. But if you're just starting out and you've never taken a photo, you have no experience, you got a free website that your cousin in 8th grade from Wix, or your free Wix website your cousin in 8th grade made for you last weekend, that's what you got. You're rolling with it, but it ain't luxury. Yes, again, I understand you found an online guru who told you a whole bunch of stuff, girl power, She told you everything you wanted to hear, and that you need to charge your worth. Well, there's a reason why gurus are guruing and not operating businesses. And of course, they're going to tell you what you want to hear because they usually want you to buy a course. So sometimes, you got to use a little bit of thought. But this is an issue because there is a very obvious discrepancy between your promise and then your actual appearance or client experience. And then you need to have self-awareness about this dissonance because it's an issue. New people do this, and it's very obvious. And I sometimes see brand new, and I know they're new because I could tell by looking at all their crap. I see new photographers posting like $7,500 packages, $5,000 packages, and there's nothing on a website or anything I see that warrants that. And hey, I'm not telling you you can't shoot for the stars, but I can also list like my 2004 Toyota Prius for sale for $197,000, and no one's going to stop me from doing that, right? You think anyone's going to pay $197,000 for a 2004 Prius? But people still don't get it. There is a reason why Holiday Inn Express charges what they charge. Do you ever drive around? Ever go on a trip to a smelly old uncle or aunt you really didn't want to go see, but they lived 4 states away? You had to drop in the car and go to or your way of business or something. Driving along, and oh my God, I'm tired. I just need a place. They're everywhere. Holiday Inn Express. Holiday Inn Express. Pull in. You know what you're going to get. The room's going to be clean. There's going to be noise in there, but hey, it's not too bad. In the morning you get up. They have that little breakfast room with those chemical cheese Danish in there. And then you grab the chemical Danish and you hit the road. You pay your $139 or whatever it is to stay there. Sometimes you get a little bit less in Nebraska. I don't know. Sorry, Nebraska. But you know what you're going to get. They know what they are. They know they're $129 a night. You get a good chemical cheese Danish, and you're on your way. Safe driving, everybody. Say hi to Aunt Marcy for me. God bless America. You know what you're going to get. The people who run Holiday Inn Express don't wake up one morning and go, I got it. I got it. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start charging $679 a night, just like the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz-Carlton is doing it, so why can't we do it? Imagine pulling up to the Holiday Inn Express, traveling down Route 44, Indiana. I don't even think there's such a road. Getting tired of driving through Indiana. Whew. We need to really pull over. Pull into Holiday Inn Express, walk in, need a room. $679, please. What? The counter person's like $679 for the night. And you're like, is this looking around? It's Holiday Inn Express? Yes, sir. Holiday Inn Express. $679. Is it like a suite? No, sir. Double room? Is there a hot tub? No, sir. Is this concierge service? No, sir. People would be a little put off. You think they're going to be paying $600? Now it's nice, but it's no Ritz-Carlton. I don't know if you ever stayed in a Ritz-Carlton. They got people looking after you, towels, concierges. So people will pay that to stay in a Ritz-Carlton, but people are pretty much aware of the Holiday Inn Express, and they're not going to pay $679 because they know what's there. They can see it. They get the chemical cheese Danish. To them, that's not worth $679. So well, I'll drive down the road a little bit more. Thanks. But no thanks. And there is a whole thing there going on about brand alignment. And there's a reason why Holiday Inn Express charges $129 and Ritz-Carlton charges $679. And people happily will pay that. They understand what they're getting. They see it. They know about it. It's marketed that way. They're fine with it. They want to treat themselves. But, Holiday Inn Express is not going to get away with charging $679 for a room. Why? Because they just don't have that sort of brand alignment. The quality of the rooms, the service, a bunch of other reasons. No one's going to pay that much for a chemical cheese Danish. So, that's another whole, marketing as a whole college degree in of itself, but that's a whole nother episode. But new photographers do this all the time, overrepresenting themselves. And again, they think, well, I'm charging my worth. When they really are displaying Holiday Inn Express and trying to charge for Ritz-Carlton. And again, it boils down to this lack of self-awareness. And I think this pressure that more is better when you're a photographer. You have to charge more because I'm fancy. I know my worth. I know my worth, girl power. And that lack of self-awareness about that, I think, really hurts people. It loses them a lot of credibility and trust with clients. And it's when you get involved in the business, first of all, do not feel pressure that you need to be the fanciest or most expensive in whatever your wedding, take babies, got pet photography. This idea that you need to become super expensive to show some kind of success is like nonsense. There are profits to be made at all levels. There's things you do to change your business, and you'll figure out over time what works best for you. A lot of it has to do with maybe your area, how much time you have involved. Again, this is another whole thing going on here, but when you're starting, just be who you are when you're starting. I'm new, just getting started. Don't think you're a Ritz-Carlton when you don't have all the supporting stuff around you to show that, because you're hurting yourself. It's a big mistake. It hurts a lot of business. Now, as you go through your path, if you choose, and then you kind of figure out how things are going on, you can make the changes and grow your business and adapt. Pay somebody $10,000 to give you a website, and you got all this other stuff going on, and your level of service and everything else kind of warrants that. And the people walk in and, but, don't tell people you have the best steak in town and you walk in and the dirty floor, dirty tables, mismatched silverware. It's not kind of the experience that people are expecting when they have saying they have the best steakhouse in town and you want to charge like a lot of money. So just be yourself, start with what you have. And then as you become better, you will become more aware of how to change your perception and appearance and everything based with where you want to be. But, over positioning yourself as a new photographer, again, with no experience or anything, is just very obvious. Well, it's obvious to me. I think it becomes obvious to people that, again, their experience is not in alignment with what you're saying, and they don't necessarily have the most pleasant experiences as time, or it's just a lot of dissonance there. So don't do that. And people think, well, just do it gradually, reinvest in your business, and you will become better with time. There is no need to become a $5,000 photographer. I mean, would you really do rather like 2 people a year at like $5,000? Or would you rather have 10 people a month at $600? Or 0 people a month at $5,000? I know it's impressive, say you're 5,000, but if no one's paying that, then, people know. So do your branding accurately. Keep it simple when you're new. Just be genuine, honest with your people. Your work, will speak to your branding. Don't try to make it something that it's not. And then that will help you have a genuineness that people will look at and say, oh, that's cute. I get it. But don't try to be something that you're not, which a lot of people do. Now you're making my voice go. But those are 3 things I wanted to touch on today in a little bit of detail as my voice is starting to go out on me. And recap, starting your business with 0 photography skills or experience. Number 2, people who want to start a boudoir business and go way overboard on this fixer mentality, not good. And then number 3, people who try to over-position themselves in the market when there is no alignment in that represents or warrants that kind of what you're saying. I'm fancy, and I don't look fancy. So just don't feel pressure to be, despite again what your guru tells you, don't feel pressure that you need to represent yourself as some super ultra fancy, expensive photographer. It's not necessary. That does not necessarily equate, of course, to success either, especially when there's a lot of misalignment. So it's not easy. The point is, it's not easy. It can be done, but it's hard work, as I noted before. Low barrier to entry, very high barrier to success. There is a lot of pitfalls in between, but it can be done. So that's what our tips were for today. Appreciate you taking time. If you've made it to this 57-minute mark on this show, you're probably better off. It's going to be a lot of anger, people. Remember, we're not talking about photography. Boudoir especially helpful, makes people feel good. We want people to feel good about themselves, but it's not necessary to overdo it. It's not necessary to come out as a fixer and everything is, we'll fix you, fix you, fix you, fix you. Uplifting messages, positive messages, learn how to take a photo, keep your brand in line with what you are. A couple of things that will help you get going. So I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is 4th of July week, so enjoy your 4th of July week. I'm going to be cooking all my burgers, sausages, peppers, hot dogs, everything else I bought this week. Relaxing, having a good time, doing my beach sessions, just enjoying the summer. So that's all I got for you today. I'm going to get out of here in under an hour, which is a miracle for me. And that's it. So thanks, everybody, and I'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.